Good morning, it's 5:45 and time to break an egg. Well, if that alarm didn't get you going, nothing will. I want to return to the buses today, just for, well, not for a short time, because I think it's a big issue. I'm beginning to think that, authority does not really understand why it's there. That our leaders, whether it's in Westminster or whether it's in Lewis or in Lewis 3 times, because we've got the county and we've got the district and we've got the town councils here. Do they understand why, other than getting a few X's and being able to go to the Christmas party or whatever, do they understand why they're there? And I'm beginning to think that they don't, because it's a death by 1,000 cuts. All right. At the moment, the debate is on. They say that they're going to consult us. In fact, they are consulting us to see whether they should cut certain services because they're stretched. It's really one of the things that we've really got to watch is Fabian tactics. Fabius was a famous Roman general who, when he realized that he couldn't stand up against Hannibal and his army of elephants marching on Rome, used to raid from the side, a bit of an attack here, a little bit of an attack there, until in the end he terrorized Hannibal's army and Hannibal had to turn back, never did actually get to Rome. And I'm beginning to think that death by 1,000 cuts is the way that our local authorities work. I mean, first of all, I know that over the past year, they've tinkered with the Compass buses that act as local carriers. And now somebody on the internet, on Facebook actually, well, I suppose on the internet, yesterday I got a number of things that came in. And one of them is that the Pevensey Bay bus is likely to be cut. That's the word, don't know for a fact. As I looked it up, and that's Stagecoach. But all you've got to do is to not tell anybody, and suddenly a little cut here and a little cut there. There a cut, here a cut, there a cut, cut. And eventually what happens, of course, is that we actually get no services at all. And hopefully we haven't noticed that they've disappeared. So I think that anybody who's on community watch, as it were, needs to take that into account and keep an eye on the little things that are happening on the fringes to see whether, in fact, what's going to happen is eventually the whole thing will be cut without even any consultation whatsoever. I thought that when you got a contract to run a bus company anywhere in this country, that you made certain commitments that you would provide certain services, a bit like the train companies. And all these companies, they make all sorts of promises to get the franchise back, because it's very lucrative all in all. It pays CEOs huge amounts of money. Then they renege on some of the things that they do. And I hope that the people of Pevensey, who incidentally, I don't mean this unkindly, not in any way at all, but they are brilliant photographers. And they get up at the same time as obviously, because some of the photographs of both the early morning sea and the early morning scenes in Pevensey Bay are just quite remarkably good. And keep those coming, because they do my heart a world of good, and I'm quite sure they do everybody else's. But I diverge, as I often do. Watch out for cuts, and if Pevensey Bay is going to lose their bus, then others will suddenly find that there aren't buses for them. And that leaves our society very vulnerable. I've always called them the people's taxi. I, like most of my fellow over 65s, have got a pass. And that pass is very important to me. I don't have a car anymore, partly because I've got Parkinson's and I don't want to endanger anybody, although I can still get behind the wheel reasonably safely, and partly because I live where I can catch either a train or a bus, and it's much easier with the state of parking and so on. But nonetheless, if we cut the buses, has anybody thought that what he's going to do is going to increase the parking? But we're running out of parking, and they're charging the earth for it anyway. And then, how expensive it is to live in this particular community. It doesn't matter whether it's from Battle to Brighton. That's terrible. That's terrible. And everybody tuts. It's the same with housing. Why are we so committed to building thousands and thousands of houses? The whole idea that every single person over the age of about 15 should have a house in the UK is farcical. We've got to consider family units. Oh dear, the family unit isn't there anymore. No. Because they're living on the same road, but they've got 16 bloody houses between them. I mean, it's nonsense. And what it's doing is it's eating up the countryside. And when a lady from the Greens knocked on the door on the weekend, and I had a little chat, I've always sort of shrugged off the Greens somehow, but as she says, environment should be number one, and environment should be number one. There's no sense whatsoever in decrying the fact that it's now Wild West Britain, that people are stabbing one another on a daily basis in sink estates or in urban areas, and they're creating urban areas. What we're going to need then is more police, and the police already say they can't afford everything on their budget. I mean, the whole thing is topsy-turvy. It's Alice through the looking glass, and how we can get over that, I have no idea. Talking about Alice through the looking glass I had a crazy situation. I have to do some business on behalf of my old aunt, and I need to know. I need to get something signed by one of the banks. So I went in, and they said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you've got the name of this person. What we need is the postcode of where they lived is 50 years ago. Talk about Alice in the Looking Glass is to find out, is to identify them is not by name. No. It's by postcode. I mean, the lady was charming. I can't fault her in every way that she tried to help. But the whole story is the computer doesn't recognise names. We don't list things by names. We only list things by postcode. One morning you'll hear me come home and say, "Hello, BN7. This is BN7B going." Now, it just said that transmission failed, so whether we got a glitch or not, I don't know, but I pushed the button that says carry on regardless, and let's hope that I wasn't cut off in my prime. But anyway, this is BN7 I1UG calling to the rest of the BN7s and whatever else we've got between Battle and Brighton. They're all crazy. I mean, who's in charge? I have no idea. I have no idea of the thinking. A couple of things that I want to mention. So, the bus passes will stay. And please, we did a little piece yesterday, as we promised, and I had a bit of a problem getting it onto Facebook, but it is there now. Look for it. It's a little piece on the buses. It's got a lovely kid reading a book on the cover of the item, and if not, please go to our website, Mirador Television, Mirord Television, all one word, Mirador Television .com. And for those of you who some of people who said, why did you choose the name Mirador? Is because it's a synonym for Barbican. And we have a magnificent Barbican in Lewes, where we're based. But everybody calls their company after Barbican, so we didn't want it to be Barbican TV. It then get lost in the welter of things. So Mirador, which is rather a pretty name, I think, and people are getting used to it. If you say things often enough, people do get used to it. It's Mirador Television, and if you think of Barbican, you've got it. But anyway, do check in. One or two things there, but look at the piece that we did yesterday, is what we call The Rant, because I think it might very succinctly tell the story, and you may well want to start to pass it around. I mean, whether things go viral or not is their worth. But this piece certainly has a go at the bus cuts, the library cuts, all the services to the elderly that we're talking about getting rid of. And you might find it a useful... well, you know, not everybody's going to agree with it. I don't expect that. And when I was talking to this lady from the Greens, you know, Facebook is pumping £6 million into trying to get journalists or an information service going that will cover local politics and local events. And good for them. Good for them. What they're going to use as a base, I really don't know. I hope it's not the BBC, because that's counterproductive in my opinion. But there we go. But for the moment, what I try to do is I try to raise issues. I put my head above the parapet, and I don't care. I'm old enough for people to knock it off, and they can knock it off, and they can have a go. I really don't mind. What I do try to do is to stir debate, and certainly at the behest of some people who are very concerned about these cuts that the county council are talking about making, is I raised, and I believe is important, about the bus pass and the charges that are proposed for libraries and so on, and their effects. Now, most people are concerned and they don't want them, but there are others that say, no, hang on, you've got to consider the budget and so on. Say, well, that's fair enough. That's your side of the debate. And let's hear from you. We don't mind, but let's talk about it, and let's talk about it openly. So take a look at this little piece. It's only about 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long. Pass it on. Send it to your friends, and send it to people outside the Mirador country, Battle of Brighton. Let them see the sort of thing that we're talking about and the sort of thing that we're debating about. Because we have actually changed our slogan, or we are about to change our slogan from, it was terrific TV for tiny towns. Now we're going to say it's terrific TV from tiny towns, because we're passing on your stories. We're passing them on to the world. And the fact of the matter is local events are well covered by the groups. You can go onto the internet and you can find out far more detail of what's happening in the communities that we mention than we can provide. We could never do that, and it was never our intention to do that. We've said we are local but not parochial. But what we are doing is we're trying to look at some of the key issues and letting the world know what we're about. We're also looking at history and some of the remarkable things that have happened in East Sussex generally, but East Sussex. And some of them are really quite fascinating. And so that's what our raison d'etre is. So do take a look and keep tapping in and seeing what we're trying to say. And we try to keep things fresh. We try to keep things going on almost a daily basis, certainly with a rant. And some of the stories we try to update at least once a week. So when I say we, there's 1.5 of us at the moment. Hopefully that'll gather pace. But anyway, that rant is all about the fact that I had a lot of stuff from people in Eastbourne who told stories, some amusing, some quite tragic, about Eastbourne during the war. And Eastbourne is an unsung hero, in my view. Eastbourne was really hit very, very badly. as I recall the statistics, it was about 1,000 people died, and 5,000 homes destroyed, and another 10 or 15,000 homes damaged. And that's created some feedback from people who had relatives during the war doing various things, and some of the stories, some funny, some are quite tragic, but it is reflecting a history which I think is forgotten. Everybody sees Eastbourne as this lovely place that we go down to, very calm, sedate. But by golly, it was at the forefront during the war, and there were some very brave people down there. And I'm trying to collect a few stories now from people. I write for a magazine called Sussex Style, very, very good magazine, and run by a gentleman called Sean Kane, who is very fastidious in the way that he makes sure that this is a very well laid out, a very readable magazine, and I'm going to ask him if I can do a war piece on Eastbourne, but I will need a bit more material, so if you're an Eastbournian, please let me know about the local stuff. But anyway, so our slogan is not terrific TV for tiny towns now, it's terrific TV from tiny towns, because believe me, we have an international audience. It's not big at the moment, but it's growing all the time. And because of the time change, they're the people that are actually listening and viewing at 5:45 in the morning. So good morning, folks, overseas, my regulars in various places, from Kosovo to Canada to Russia. It's always nice to know that there is somebody there, because the lot here don't get up until later. But you can tap in and you can actually get... You can get some of these rants, if you like, on our webpage, and also, of course, on Facebook, where they stay for 24 hours. What else? Oh, I wanted to... some people were complaining about the surgeries, and I've run out of time, and it's not fair that I should keep going over. So tomorrow morning I will talk about the reaction and the things that people are finding from the surgeries. But once again, it's because we rely upon mechanical things. And the NHS has got something called the Hub. And the Hub is not a person, it's a computer system. And what it does in the main is it manages to screw everything up. It'll send you a notice about your appointment with a consultant or whatever, which you get the day after you're supposed to have been there. and then, of course, it sends you a note saying you just cost the NHS 65 quid or something for failing to turn up. But anyway, we'll talk some more about that tomorrow, because these are the problems. We are very, very quickly running out of being a human society. We're relying upon technology, and technology ain't looking after the people. We have got to use technology sensibly, not expected to do our job. And that is the problem with the banks and with the NHS and with the train companies and with all the other big organisations right through government. And yeah, it ain't working, chaps. So do some rethinking, please. We touched down on Mars. Second one. Whoa, wonder what it's going to tell us this time. And also, Black Friday. Can we please stop the fake advertising? You can get this for a year's subscription at $2.25 a month. When you tap in, oh yeah, you can get a $2.25 a month, not for a year, only if you pay a 2-year subscription. If you want to pay it for a year, it's double that. Well, that's fake advertising, and it's naughty. And it comes from some reputable people, so stop it. Customer first. Doodly-doodly-doo. Okay, I'm well alive now, so time for me to say goodbye. Toodle pip. See you tomorrow. Ta-ra.